my channel. I am Tamra LaRese, and I am here to offer messages downloaded from the Higher Self Collective. The Higher Self Collective is where my higher self and your higher self reside, and it is a space of well-being. It is a space of all potential, all possibility, and it is our direct connection to source. That is where the energy, creative or untapped energy for us to be able to create from exists. And it is the quantum field of everything that has existed. Okay, so we're able to pull from this the stream of untapped creative energy, pure life force, fresh life force energy. And we're able to tap into everything that has been and the potentials of what could be or will be from that connection to our higher self. Okay. I wanted to do this video real quick because I'm bridging over from doing tarot. For the last year, I have been offering tarot readings for each zodiac sign on my YouTube channel, on a previous YouTube channel. And I'm not just sharing this because I feel like I need to defend a decision. That's absolutely not what this is about. So let me clear that up first of all. I think that it's fair for everybody to be on the same page and to understand why. But I think that even more so, it's about understanding where we're at as a collective, as our consciousness rises, as we expand who we are. Many of you may be watching the current astrology, right? So we know that Pluto is now in Aquarius. We know that that Gemini now holds Uranus. So those are really big energies inside an air sign. Okay, and air is about mental processes. It's about thought. It's about knowledge. It's about information. It's also technology. It's communication. And in short, it could be easily interpreted as what we know, how we use our brain. But this is the exact, I think that the exact perfect example, go with that, the perfect example of what we can easily believe at first glance or first interpretation of something, a common narrative, versus what our higher self interprets things as. Okay, there's always a higher perspective. And that's what I like to tap into. It's been extremely pivotal for me in my lifetime, in my spiritual growth, to be able to adapt to and adopt in new perspectives that feel resonant with my higher self. I think it's important for each of us to be able to do that. So we're constantly shifting and growing. So let's get back to that air sign. That's a very masculine sign. It's a very external movement sign. But I think that I believe the messages that I'm getting are, do we continue to rely on our human brain for our information? I don't think that we can anymore. I think that it is a time where we are it's required now for us to embody our unique soul print, our divine blueprint, right? Our authenticity, our divine self, our higher self, all of those things. That's what Aquarius is about. It's about strengthening the individual to be what's best for the collective as a whole so that we can grow and expand together. Now, again, individuality is key in this, okay? So diversity is very important. That we've got a lot of diversity on this planet, and that is to our benefit. That is for our being able to draw off of experiences and come to new conclusions, okay? So I believe that what we're being asked to do at this point is to not rely just on our human brain and think our way through things and think our way through solutions. Because if we do that, we'll continue to repeat patterns, okay? We're only able to think our way through and get information based on the frequency or energy, vibration, emotional state that we are in. Okay. And I'm saying all those with / because they're all pretty much saying the same thing. Okay. So rather than us relying on thinking, our way through something, it is literally about opening ourselves up to the higher intelligence that exists within us, that is focusing us into this physical body, opening ourselves up to that and allowing that part of ourselves to use our brains much more efficiently than we have been able to. Okay. So in this way, we're, rather than using our brain to think, and to try to store and hold information, we're using our brains the way they were designed, and that is as a receiver. Okay. As a receiver of higher intelligence, a receiver of clear messages that are in direct, those messages and answers are in direct response to questions that you have. And as you live your life, you promote questions. You want more. You're always expanding. Eternal expansion, eternal progression. That's what the soul is about. Now, I had to it was a bit of a struggle for me. This is where I think that a lot of us may be right now with these shifts in the astrology and the energy itself. We also have Saturn and Neptune in Aries. So that is, again, passion, action, creativity. And Saturn wants us to build a new container. Okay. It wants us to discipline ourselves to be able to have the proper structure around what it is that we have imagined or desired. That's Neptune. Okay. So that we can make clear, intuitive action based on our higher self. So we pull all these energies in together, and there's some serious pivoting going on, you guys. There really is. And I have felt stuck in my mind. I have felt this like being pressurized, like in a pressure cooker, or like, you know, the coal that becomes the diamond, till finally I give way. What I wanted to do, what I thought I was doing, was being able to offer messages that were unique to each sign. They would be more individualized, more personalized messages through tarot. But what I came to understand is that I was trying to put my higher self, or my soul's call, my blueprint, into a previously created system or algorithm. And I'm not saying that algorithms aren't important. Anybody who does social media in any capacity knows that algorithms are important. But rather than trying to fit my soul, my call, into this algorithm, it wasn't going to work. It never quite felt right. It always felt a little bit off. And yet I didn't have full capacity before, and what I didn't believe that I had full capacity to be able to draw in the messages that I am now. Now, here's the caveat to that. Here's the catch to all of that. I believed. Okay. That's why the devil is like this ominous character in the tarot. Okay. Because the devil is beliefs that hold us to a certain system, hold us to a certain program. And it can be a very positive thing when we're bringing ourselves into something new. We want that structure. We want to have belief that collapses reality. Okay. And in that way, it can be, Saturn is very, very, very positive. Saturn rules the devil card. Okay. But when we continue to hold on tight to a belief that doesn't serve us, our continual growth, that's where the negative impact begins to happen through that devil card. It begins to bind us and hold us to something. And we need to be able to see what it is that we believe that is holding us to a paradigm that doesn't necessarily fit, or then have a byproduct of negative actions, negative thoughts, negative self-value, negative, even the things that the devil also represents is self-sabotage. He represents codependency. He represents addictions, all of those things. And all those things are byproducts of not being able to keep up with the expansion of our higher self. Okay. So I was holding on to this belief that I wasn't able to fully bring in messages that would be beneficial or that people would want to hear, unless it was within a container that people already knew. And that container, I believed, was tarot. Now, I love the tarot. I always do tarot readings for myself. I love doing personal readings for others. And I have a local tarot reading business. You can book your reading online, in the description box if you'd like to. And I'm not downplaying tarot, because but here's the deal, that what I kept feeling over and over and over again is that tarot is a sacred tool for divination, of being able to really understand where we're at and to cut through illusions, right? And be able to help us understand ourselves even better. And it is a tool, not the only tool, but it is a very effective tool if that's what you like to use. And what happens when we continue to create content, again, nothing wrong with it, but what I was seeing was that I was not able to fully honor the sacredness of the tarot when I was constantly trying to produce videos for almost mindless consumption. And not everybody is mindless. And if you watched my tarot videos, you know that I really was intended to get in there. What energy are you in? What energy is ahead of us? And how can you move, in flow with the energy? I always wanted to be deep with the tarot reads for our own personal growth. But it does become this expectation and this insatiable appetite for just hearing what we want to hear, versus maybe being able to understand what our soul or our higher self wants to say to us, in order for us to be able to keep up in that flow and to see the higher perspective, see the perspective our higher self has on within current energies. Okay. So I had always felt like I needed to be able to download messages and be able to share them. And now, and I did that with the tarot. I downloaded messages, I read the cards, and I got the messages through the higher self collective. And then the higher self, I'm laughing because I'm going to tell you guys a story if you're interested in hearing it. It is as if my higher self did exactly what my sister did when I oh my God, when I first learned to read tarot. Okay. So essentially I was reading the cards and I was looking at the book and I was sharing the messages, and some of those messages that were coming through I was intuitively reading the cards, right? Because prior to that, I'd been doing higher self readings for people. I'd been doing psychic readings. I had not been doing the tarot readings. So when I started learning the tarot, naturally the psychic and higher self aspect was embedded into those readings. So I'm learning tarot, right? So I'm reading the book to interpret these messages for myself and my sister, until one day she takes the book away and she says, "No, you're ready to not use the book anymore." And I said, "I can't do this without the book." And she said, "Oh, yes, you can." And she put the book under her leg and she sat on the book and she said, "No, you're going to do a reading without the book this time." And I did. And the reading was beautiful and it came full circle. And I could see the wisdom in the reading for her and was able to accurately relay the information. And it surprised me and I impressed myself. And now it really feels a lot like my higher self doing the same thing. Okay, you were able to connect with spiritual messages for people and relay those messages on camera, which can be a challenge, right? Relay those messages to people. And now it's time to no longer use the algorithm or the structure of the tarot. Now it's time to just give the messages. My soul wants to feel more free, and so does yours. Your soul wants to feel more free. Again, nothing wrong with the algorithm, nothing wrong with containers, but if those containers are stifling your soul's expansion, we are being required to let go of that now, because guess what? Our higher self doesn't live inside that box. It does not. Our higher self explores and creates boxes, but then opens up those boxes and it's the next box and the next one and the next one and the next one. Again, going back to that term, eternal progression, always. So we're now in very fast moving energy. Okay. Air energy is quick. Okay. You can expect yourself to be required to be pivoting often over the next 20 years. Okay. And I think that it's fair for us to recognize that there is a battle that goes on within us, that where we feel like we have to answer to what we already have been doing versus what is trying to come in. First of all, just be aware. Just be aware that there's this pull back and forth. Once I was aware that there was this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and tension building and building and building, I was able to accept that that's what was happening and say, okay, that I just by witnessing it, I felt so much better, and let it play out. And it almost immediately, again, we're back to that the quickness of the air. It immediately, within hours, evolved into this new channel, this new avenue of relaying messages, and something that really does feel like home. It really feels, do it. All of the steps had felt better and better and better, but I don't know that I had felt this at peace with anything that I've created, that I do today and now in creating and launching this channel. And so it is my promise to you that I will be sharing messages that are downloaded and inspired through that higher self collective. Things that your higher self wants you to see and wants you to know and wants you to feel that you are seen, heard, known, constantly inspired, and here for a reason. And that reason is not to shrink into some idea that somebody else has given you of who you are and what you're supposed to be doing. Nope. Sorry, not going to happen. Okay. And yeah, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking. It can be a little bit unsettling. But if we can learn to love, to ride the waves of our soul's expansion, we're going to get the hang of it a lot faster. So just recognize what may be going on inside your mind, what may be going on inside your body. And if you're feeling the pressure, it may be time to pivot. And all you have to do in order for that pivot to take place is not figure it out, but just be aware of the battle that is happening within you. That awareness is enough energy for your higher self to get in there. Well, okay, so awareness and acceptance. They're saying this, awareness and acceptance. Being aware and accepting that that's what you're feeling right now. That's what's going on right now. That acceptance unlocks it. Okay? Awareness and acceptance unlocks it, and your higher self can move right on in and help you make that pivot very rapidly to where you feel like, okay, I feel good again. I feel free. I feel ready. I feel inspired. I feel renewed and refreshed. That's a feeling of your higher self. We want to feel that as often as possible. You're not always going to feel that way. And it's important to recognize when you don't feel that way. It's okay. But you recognize it, you accept it, and then the pivot shift can happen, and your higher self already has it all figured out. It's for you to enjoy what your higher self is moving through you, is your mission here on this earth. Okay? To let life force energy, the intelligence of who you really are, move through you and create through you. And then you as a human get to enjoy the journey. Okay. I love every one of you. Spirit is absolutely in adoration of all of you always. Okay. And I look forward to bringing more messages in and sharing these with you as they unfold for each of us. Take care. And I will see you next time in the next video.